Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today for VMware's multi-cloud live stream. Just a reminder to everyone joining us that these are taking place every week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they're featuring new speakers and topics. The recordings are also hosted on the VMware Cloud YouTube channel, so you can watch them on demand. And we encourage you to subscribe to the channel as well, just to stay up to date with everything that we have latest and coming up. So today we are excited to have Stefan here with David and me for a session on securing Kubernetes and containers. So with that, Stefan, can you introduce yourself and just provide an overview of what we'll be covering today?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Stefan List. I'm technical marketing architect at VMware and the security business unit, so Carbon Black. And today we will talk about container security with Kubernetes and how we secure a CI/CD pipeline.
Hey, where are you sitting, Stefan?
I live in France, so that's why I have perhaps a French accent.
Yeah, it's late for you. It's later for you than it is for us here.
Well, with that, I mean, just a final reminder, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to add those into the chat and we'll make sure that we can address them during the call. But otherwise, we'll let you kick it off for us.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
So let me share my screen. Share screen. Oops.
Laura and I are sharing your screen at the same time and canceling each other out.
So yes,
it's all good now.
So welcome to this demo of VMware Carbon Black Cloud for containers. And VMware Carbon Black Cloud is a single unified console to manage across your enterprise endpoints, workloads, and containers. This allows you to promote a unified application of your security posture. In this demo, we will focus on container security. And for this, we will see the development environment with an entire CI/CD pipeline. The development environment will scan the vulnerability and validate image. We will use a Jenkins pipeline. Jenkins is a popular CI/CD open source software. And with Jenkins, we will push an image in a container image registry, which is Docker Hub. And this is only an example. We could use Arbor also. And finally, we will deploy the image to a Kubernetes in production. So now it's time for the demo. So for this demo, first I will show you the Carbon Black Cloud console. Just 1 second. So in the Carbon Black Cloud console, we have here an inventory. In the inventory, we can see that we can protect endpoints, virtual machine, and Kubernetes, the Kubernetes clusters. And let's focus on Kubernetes security. So in fact, in this page, in Kubernetes Health, we are able to provide unified insight into your security posture across multiple clusters and namespaces so that we can start to assess key configurations or misconfiguration based on what is deployed and live in production. Now, when it comes to assessing overall risk is prioritized. Risk is prioritized here on exploitability, confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the different configuration settings. So what we need to do is, while we are analyzing the key configuration settings, we need to associate it with risk. How likely is it to be exploited? What are the implications? What will the adversary be able or capable of doing in these key settings? because two of the largest areas of risk in our containerized application is misconfiguration. If we think about this is because Kubernetes was designed to be easy to get up and running. In its nature privilege, escalation is allowed if not configured otherwise, or think even to networking. Networking is actually designed to be allow or rule, meaning only inbound and outbound connection can be enforced or allowed if there is no networking rule defined. So in this demonstration, in fact, we will create a Kubernetes policy. We will apply it to all clusters, and we will see how it can help you to protect your entire CI/CD pipeline. So let's start to create a Kubernetes policy. On first Kubernetes policy, you see that currently I have no policy. So when we create a policy, we are using some rules, and so you can define some specific rule. For example, you can specify some rules to limit the container registry you want to use, you want to allow. And if I show you, it's really simple. You just have to limit registry. And for example, you can limit registry to registry.local. So to disable, for example, Docker Hub, or to disable registries that are online, and perhaps you want your developer to use only on-site or local container registry because you don't want to have containers everywhere in the world. So you can define some custom rules, and you can use them in policies. So let's create a policy.
Hey, Stefan, related to rules, are there already, does the offering come with a set of rules baked in that that you can customize or you can start with, or you pretty much start from scratch in terms of rules?
No, in fact, I will show you. In fact, the policy I will create will use all the rules. So we can select then the rules we want in our policy. And we can also select if the rules is blocking or it is only detecting. So I will show you just.
So it comes in with those capabilities basically built in, and then you can mix and match them and make them compliant to different things. Okay, cool.
Exactly. So let's create our policy. We call it demo. Then I can select if this policy will apply to a cluster, to a cluster group, to a namespace. So I will choose any. Next, it's where I can select some rules. At Carbon Black, we provide some templates with basic rules, restricted rules, and CIS benchmark rules. So I will choose, for example, to use basic rules. And here you can see that we have rules for container images. So we can, for example, we can force or we can block the deployment of a container if it doesn't have hashtags. We can block containers that are not scanned, that was vulnerabilities with fixes or critical vulnerabilities with fixes, who is using a latest tag. We can limit registries. We can, protect against privileged escalation, against privileged container, against container with root privilege. And what we will use in this demo, we will use protection, and we will block if a user or developer is trying, in fact, to deploy a container without setting memory limits and CPU limits. So why I'm using this policy? It's really simple. It's just because currently there are a lot of attacks to mine some crypto money, to mine, for example, Bitcoin or something like this. And for this, what the malicious attackers will try to take the control of a container and execute code in your container. And because in all organizations, containers have a lot of CPU, a lot of memory, it is really a nice target for the attacker because there are really a lot of CPU power to mine some Bitcoin, for example. So here we will create a policy that will block if there is no memory limit and or if there is no CPU limits when we try to deploy Kubernetes containers. So I create the policy. I see immediately that there are some violations, or there are already some container that could be blocked with this. So we can add some exceptions. But if we are looking to our default namespace, we will see that, okay, there is nothing about our Node app application that will be blocked. So we can click on next. We can enable the policy. And that's it. In a few seconds, all our clusters are protected with this policy.
So Stefan, just to clarify, what I think I saw was that before you applied the rule, it checked the environment to see, like, okay, if this rule had been in effect before these things were deployed, these were the things that would have been impacted, right? That's
yes, exactly.
And so then you have a sense of like, okay, I hadn't thought about that, and maybe the rule I need to change it, modify it a bit or something, or you can just accept in the ones that are there already. Or decide to go fix those things and then apply the rule, and et cetera, right?
Yes. In fact, our security is really configurable, customizable. We have some rules. We can have some exceptions everywhere, exceptions for all rules on some specific clusters. We can also have exceptions on vulnerability. So it's not fixed at all. You can really adjust it to your what you need of. You can adjust it to the application you are running in your clusters, etc.
Yeah, no, what I like was that feature where you're sort of like, you get to real world test the rule before you've applied it, because you can look at the things that are already deployed and say, okay, if this had been in place, what would have happened? And you say, well, this wouldn't have run, that wouldn't have run. And you go, okay, is that a good or a bad thing? It's like before I deploy the rule.
And each time you deploy your rule, also what you can do is just select alert and not block. So you are sure to not block your production environment. You will just have some alerts, and then you can adjust. And when you are sure that your environment is correctly secured and your security policy is perfect, then you can block for a certain rule.
Yeah,
yes.
That makes sense. That's good. Okay. That's a good approach.
Okay, so that's for the security policy. And now we will apply it to a CI/CD pipeline. So for the CI/CD pipeline, I will use Jenkins, as I said. So in Jenkins, here I have defined 3 pipelines. So the first one is to launch the demo. In the first pipeline, we are building an application called Node app, because it is a Node.js application. So first pipeline to build the application, second pipeline to deploy it, but with bad configuration, without the CPU limit, without the memory limit, and I will show you how it will be blocked and how it can be integrated inside Jenkins, because Jenkins is open source, so we can integrate Carbon Black with CLI inside Jenkins. I will show you. And then, of course, a good deployment to see our containers running and to see our application running. So to launch, in fact, a CI/CD pipeline, I just have to click here on the pipeline Carbon Black demo and click on build. When I start the pipeline, what Jenkins will do, it will clone a repository from GitHub. So there is a source code here in GitHub, Node.js application. So we will build the application. The application is really small, so it is really quick. You can test the image. You can push the image to Docker Hub. And here we have Carbon Black that will validate the image. What does it mean, validate the image? It means it will check that the image does not contain vulnerabilities. If we want, in the security policy, we can block if the image contains some critical or high vulnerability. So here we will validate the image. And when the image will be validated, we will send a Slack message. So all the developer or all the team member will know that, okay, there is a new container that is available. So it can take up to 3 minutes. And I will just show you the log when it will be finished. If I go to another pipeline, so if I go to a bad deployment pipeline, I will use an old one. In fact, now we have our container. Our container has been pushed to Docker Hub. Now what we can do is we can check the YAML file used to deploy our container. And again, we can use Carbon Black to validate that the YAML file, so the deployment file, is correct or not. So for the bad deployment, if I click on it and I look at the console, what I will see is that, okay, I have deployed an application, but there was no memory limit and there was no CPU limit. So there have been some violation. It has been blocked here by Carbon Black. So it's not possible, in fact, to run or to deploy the container image in production with this pipeline. With the other one, the good deployment, it is running perfectly. And if I go in the console output,
I think this is an interesting name for your pipeline, which is bad deployment.
Yes, the bad deployment is not working.
I'm going to run my bad deployment pipeline.
After running the bad deployment, now it is a good deployment. So it's okay. It is finished successfully with no violation.
I think that the sort of the meaning of it is check for bad deployments, not the bad deployment pipeline.
Yeah. So this is really for the Jenkins administrator, or it is more for the development manager. But if you think about the developer, when he will see that he's not able to deploy his container, he will want to do it, but without Jenkins, he will want to use the CLI to understand exactly what's wrong in his deployment. So if now I take the hat of developer, demo.
Yeah, to me, this is sort of perfect example of sort of what DevSecOps is supposed to be about, right? Shifting security much closer to the developer, putting it into the pipeline so that people are notified during the build process rather than sort of in the post-production
you can see
process.
Here all the Slack message saying, okay, good deployment success and bad deployment, of course, error. And now I am the developer, and I want to debug my application. I want to understand. So what I can do is I can deploy my Node app, my Node application manually. I can check that it is running. So to see for this, I will use kubectl getAll. Here I can see, okay, it is running and it is listening on port 3333. Let's try to connect to the application. I will use Firefox on this port. I see it's okay. My application is answering, it is listening, and I see hello from Node.js. If I continue, I want to validate my YAML file. Okay, so if I try to validate my good deployment file, of course it is without violation, and with the bad one, so it is the same command that Jenkins is using, but here, as a developer, I prefer to do it like this. It's more easy, and I can see very quickly. Okay, in this file, deployment.yaml in the bad repository, there is 2 violations for the policy demo. The first violation is memory limits. Second one in CPU limits. And what is the difference, in fact, between the good and the bad YAML file? I will just do a diff between the two files. So I will do it graphically. And in the diff, I will see it's very easy. On the left, it is the bad YAML file. On the right, it is a good one. And we see that on the good one, we have limits for CPU and memory. So we have a lower limit and we have higher limit. The lower limit is to be sure that we have a CPU and that we have memory, because otherwise you can deploy and if there is no CPU, it can say no error, but you won't have your container running because you don't have CPU available on your cluster. And for the higher limits, in fact, it is for to be sure to not impact all the production. If one container is eating all the CPU, or if one container is attacked by a malicious user or is running, for example, a Bitcoin miner, then the CPU usage of this container, you are sure it will be blocked. It will be limited. So also what I could do is I could try to check, in fact, to scan the image to check for the vulnerability that are present in my application. So I can do it with this function. Let's do it. And so what it will do, it will download the container image from here. It is from Docker Hub. It will really parse the image. It will send it to Carbon Black. And then Carbon Black will scan the image and will tell you, okay, in your package, you have some vulnerability in your package tar, in Linux libc, in tar, etc. You have vulnerability that are with high severity. It will give you the CVSS score, and also it will give you, it will tell you if you have fix available or not. So of course, if you have fix available, you just have to update your package and then create a new container, and that's it. You have really limited the attack surface of your container. Just with one command, you have everything. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's super useful, and I think going back to the DevSecOps conversation where it's like the whole idea is through the APIs you tie this into your pipeline, right? And it's like you can then make decisions around. I'm going to scan at the beginning. If it I'm going to let it go unless one of these vulnerability exists, in which case I'm going to kick it back. And it's like, and if it doesn't exist, I'm just going to let it move through the pipeline, but I'm going to alert the right people so that we can then fix it. And then the next time this happens and redeploy, that it's all sort of current, basically, right?
Exactly. So
and with just a quick question on that, when you're mentioning alerting the right people, is that a capability? Is to be able to specify who those alerts are going to?
yes, in fact, the alert will go to the Carbon Black console, and then you can define some role-based access control in the Carbon Black console to select who has the right to see the alert, who has the right to modify the policy, etc.
Got it.
And if I continue my demo, in fact, now I have a container image running, and imagine that there is a malicious user that is in your company or that has infiltrated your company, and he can execute some code using kubectl exec into your container. So I will show you how it works. You just have to execute kubectl exec, then the name of one container, and then you can execute some command. You can execute, for example, bin bash. So here I am on my Linux machine. My name is Stefan, so my login name here is Stefan. And I can log in just by using kubectl exec. I can log in into a container. And when I am in a container, I can show you host name. I am in a Node app container. Who I am I am root, so I can execute some code. I can download, for example, some malicious software, a CryptoMiner, and then execute it. So here I have all the rights. So it's good to use this functionality, the kubectl exec. It's good to use it when you want to debug your software, because here you can have access to your file system, you can see the logs, you can execute some commands. But in production, it's really a bad idea to allow this. So within Carbon Black console, you can specify in the policy that, for example, for the command exec to container, I can say, okay, now I want to block. So I want to block each time a user will try to use kubectl exec or will try to access to my container using kubectl exec. So I just need to create the policy. I click on save. And the policy is updated. So if I am here and I try again to execute a command in my container, I was too fast. I try it again. No. Sorry. Perhaps the demo effect. Let me check.
It's always got to be. I don't know. Did you make a sacrifice to the demo gods before you got on? If you didn't, it's going to be hard to get through this.
No. Normally it should be good. Let me try again.
Yeah, we need to make that
Okay, this is where we go. Trust us. It works.
Yes, it worked now. Now it is blocked. So what does it mean? It means that with Carbon Black security policy, we can block the deployment if the deployment file is not correct, has not the right parameter. We can block if there are some vulnerabilities inside the container. We can also block some execution like this. We can also, here in violations, we can see here in Carbon Black console that someone tried to exec something and it has been blocked by Carbon Black. Okay.
And just a quick question on that.
Yes?
What are the Kubernetes platforms supported by Carbon Black?
Yes, the Kubernetes platform is supported. It is the Kubernetes, the normal, the upstream Kubernetes, the one I'm using here. So I'm using micro Kubernetes, but you can also use Minikube, or you can use all Kubernetes, upstream Kubernetes. You can use, of course, VMware Tanzu Kubernetes Grid. You can use Red Hat OpenShift, Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service, Google Kubernetes Engine, Azure Kubernetes Service. As long as it is Kubernetes, you can use it.
Got it.
Okay. And what is very nice also with Carbon Black is here you have seen that I have protected my container, but in my inventory, I told you I can also protect some endpoint and some workload. So here in the workload, my Ubuntu, so where I'm running my container, it's protected also with a next-gen antivirus, with an NDR. So I am able to investigate and to search for events and to search, for example, I did not register it, but I can search also for when or where in my in all my environment where someone has tried to execute kubectl exec. So I can have been alerted as a SOC member, for example. I can be alerted when someone would try to execute some code in my container. And in this kind of alerts, I can really go really deeper and see all the process tree. I can see what is the application that is running the kubectl exec. So in my context, I can see that the user, Stefan, tried to execute micro Kubernetes kubectl exec, and he tried to execute bin bash. So I really have all the context in the container outside the container. So really, we have a complete visibility. I have really a complete visibility of what is running in my containers. Is there vulnerabilities in my container? Is there vulnerabilities in one workload? So I can identify vulnerabilities, misconfiguration. I can maintain compliance because I can be sure that all my containers and all my container deployments are compliant, and I can simplify operation. As you have seen, it's all in the same console. You have everything on the same Carbon Black Cloud console. If you are using Kubernetes with Tanzu, it's the same. You have only one team for infrastructure, one team for VMs, one team for Kubernetes. So it's really simplifies the operation. It's really what we are looking with Carbon Black at VMware.
Makes sense. Yeah. Thank you for providing that overview.
Nice. Yeah,
now,
that was great.
Yeah. If anyone has any, final questions, please feel free to add those in. There's also some additional resources and information in the description section on the YouTube video. So if you're watching there, feel free to check those out. And with that, are there any other final thoughts you have, or any final leaving statements that you would leave people with?
Just one point I didn't mention is that, in fact, Carbon Black can also integrate in a container registry. So at VMware, we have a container registry which is open source, which is called Arbor. And we can integrate within Arbor. And for example, we can see here that for a container, we can scan the vulnerability of the container, and we can report inside Arbor with Carbon Black. We can report how many vulnerabilities are present in one container. So Carbon Black is for all Kubernetes, but it will integrate it more and more in all VMware products.
Cool. That's great.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. And just a reminder for everyone, if you are interested in learning more about ensuring security across all of your cloud environments and your workloads, we are dedicating this month to security across all of our solutions and topics. So join us next week. We'll be continuing the series. And just thank you for joining us, Stefan, and maybe we'll see you another time.
Yeah, thanks, Stefan. It's good.
Thank you. See you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.